Hey guys, Chris here, and welcome to the 10 to 80% charging time and charging speed test, where we put the manufacturer's claimed charging speed to the test in the real world under real conditions with real chargers. And Hyundai claimed that this Ioniq 5 long-range all-wheel drive should be able to peak at around 239 to 240 kilowatts and do 10 to 80% in around 18 minutes under ideal conditions. And since it is winter and cold outside, that is less than ideal. Cold batteries mean cold charging. But luckily for us, this Ioniq 5, since I last tested it around a year and a half ago in this same test, has gotten preheating or preconditioning via the navigation system. And that is what we have used today. So we have navigated to this. This is an FSEC 350 kilowatt charger from Recharge. And we've also been driving this car for about 3 hours and 300 kilometers because prior to doing this test, I failed my motorway range test. So 3 hours on the road, 300 kilometers, and also navigating to an HPC charger should give us ideal conditions. And yeah, that charging speed that Hyundai claimed. So let's roll the time lapse and I'll talk to you guys after the charging session. Before we jump into the charging curve and the results, and I show you guys the chart to see how this car actually ranks against the competition, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's sponsor, Recharge, who is an awesome provider of charging here in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. They're actually the largest charge point operator in Norway, and in Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, they have more than 4,000 charging points. So if you want to support the channel or you just want to know where your closest Recharge charger is, go to the link down below and click on the map and find it. I have no idea, guys. This chart makes no sense at all. Take a look at it. I mean, we're not even close to reaching that peak charging speed. I mean, we're so far away from, that peak charging speed of 240 kilowatts. And if you look at the chart in the start, it kind of started okay. We started like right off the bat at 110 kilowatts, something like that. And then we went up to 124 quite rapidly. And then boom, throttle, 84, 85 kilowatts. And it kept climbing slowly. Like we hit like 93 or 94 at the end. Yeah, and then once we hit 80, it like went down to 0, and then we went up to like 4 again. I don't know. This is so strange. So, since I wasn't getting speed, I went out, I checked the chargers to be sure. I hadn't charged at this charging station before, but in the app, it was labeled with 350 kilowatts. I checked the charger. It was labeled with 350 kilowatts. I checked the plaque. That said like 350 kilowatts. So there doesn't seem to be any issues with the charger. And then I started thinking about there were 450 kilowatt chargers right next to me. And I'm like, maybe because there are a few cars charging at those chargers, I'm not getting the full speed. But as cars kept, connecting and disconnecting there was no change at all in the speed I was getting. So it doesn't seem to be that. And then I took a look at the hardware, and those 450 kilowatt chargers had one power module to power them. And this 350 kilowatt charger had two, which like that should be enough, and twice the amount as those 450 kilowatt chargers. So it makes sense. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the hardware. I think it's the car. And I want to redo this test again to see if it is the car. But this isn't the first time I'm having problems with achieving, the claimed charging speed with this car. And this isn't the first time other people are also experiencing this. And hear me out, because I actually think it's kind of all what is happening here. I think we're experiencing thermal throttling. And you're like, what? Thermal throttling? It's cold outside. It's winter. It's like 3 degrees Celsius. It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense until you think about how and what happened before this test. So I took this car out on the motorway range test. I drove it, 200 and something odd kilometers on the motorway, and then I charged it up to 40%. And then I took it out for about, 45 minutes, drove it like 80 kilometers, and then depleted the battery to 8%. And then we connected again. And this is what I've experienced before. When you go on a trip, you're driving on a motorway, you connect and disconnect, this battery pack throttles. And it doesn't seem like they have fixed that here. I don't know. Nothing else makes any sense, because I actually got higher charging speeds at the other charging station after a while. When it connected, I got like 70 kilowatts or 68, and then it started ramping up to like 120, 130. So it makes sense disconnecting, going on a motorway, and then connecting again. This battery pack just didn't have time to cool down, which is super interesting. So, okay, enough about that. Let's take a look at the actual results. So we did 10 to 80% in 37.5 minutes, which is not good at all. I mean, it's okay, but considering this car should be able to do that in like half that speed, it's not good at all. And also, if you look at the kilometers per hour, like a little over 500 kilometers per hour, when it comes to charging speed, it's at the bottom of that chart. And if you look at the top of the chart, when I did this test a year and a half ago, in more ideal conditions, I still wasn't able to hit that 18 minutes of 10 to 80% charging time and charging speed test. So I don't know. This is so interesting. I've had this problem with this car before. So let me know down below if you experience thermal throttling with the Ioniq 5, and even in winter, like going on a motorway, charging, and then going back on the motorway. Every other car, you almost have to do this, to be able to get that charging speed, to have heat in the battery. But this car seems like it penalizes you if you try to do that. So guys, let me know what you think down below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.